The mansion was quiet, too quiet for someone who was still breathing. Isabella Warren lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling she had once admired for its hand-painted gold detailing. Tonight, it looked like a cage. The machines beside her hummed softly, measuring things she no longer wanted to count: heartbeats, oxygen, time. At 26, she was already tired of being brave. Outside the tall glass windows, the city glowed with life. People laughing. Cars moving. Lives continuing without her. Isabella turned her head slowly, pain blooming in her chest as she reached for her phone. Her fingers trembled. Not from fear, but from exhaustion. She had called everyone she was supposed to call. Doctors. Lawyers. Assistants. None of them stayed when the night became too heavy. She just didn't want to be alone tonight. Her screen blurred as tears filled her eyes. She tried to dial her assistant, but her vision doubled. A wrong number slipped through. The phone rang. Once. Twice. She almost hung up. Hello? The voice was male. Tired. Real. Isabella inhaled sharply. I'm sorry. I think I called the wrong number. On the other end, Michael Hayes frowned, phone pressed between his shoulder and ear as he washed dishes in a tiny apartment kitchen. That's okay, he said gently. It happens. He could have hung up. He should have. But then he heard her breathing. Shaky. Uneven. Like someone trying very hard not to cry. Are you okay? He asked. Isabella swallowed. Her voice came out smaller than she expected. No. I'm really not. Silence filled the line. Michael glanced toward the living room where his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, lay asleep on the couch with a book on her chest. He lowered his voice. Do you want to talk? He asked. Isabella closed her eyes. Yes, she whispered. Please. Two strangers in the dark. Michael sat down slowly, dish towel forgotten in his hand. My name's Michael, he said. You don't have to tell me yours. Isabella smiled faintly. Isabella. They didn't talk about who they were. Not yet. She told him she couldn't sleep. That the nights felt longer than they used to. That everything hurt more when it was quiet. Michael listened. Not like doctors listened, checking clocks, planning exits. Not like friends listened, offering shallow comfort. He just listened. I have a daughter, he said after a while. She's 8. Sometimes she can't sleep either. I sit with her until she does. Isabella's throat tightened. That sounds nice. It is, Michael replied. Hard. But nice. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Isabella realized something strange. She wasn't counting time anymore. I don't even know why you stayed, she said softly. Michael shrugged, though she couldn't see it. Sometimes people just need someone to stay. Her voice cracked. Can you stay with me tonight? The words felt selfish. Desperate. Michael didn't hesitate. I'm here. Tears slid silently down Isabella's temples into her hair. For the first time in weeks, she fell asleep with someone on the line. The calls that followed. The next night, Isabella called again. And the next. And the next. They talked about small things. Safe things. Movies Michael liked. Emma's drawings taped to the fridge. The sound of rain against Isabella's window. Eventually, the truth began to slip through. I'm sick, Isabella said one night. Michael didn't interrupt. Terminal, she added. They don't say it out loud anymore, but I can hear it in their voices. His chest tightened. I'm sorry. She laughed quietly. Everyone says that. No, he said softly. I mean, I'm sorry you're going through it alone. That broke her. I have so many people around me, she whispered. But no one stays when I ask. Michael stayed silent on purpose. I'm scared, she admitted. Not of dying. Of disappearing. Michael leaned back against the wall, eyes closing. You won't, he said. People don't disappear when they matter. How do you know? Because my wife died when Emma was a baby, he said quietly. And she's still everywhere in our lives. Isabella's breath caught. I didn't know. You didn't ask, he replied gently. And somehow, that made the moment more honest. Emma joins the story. One evening, Isabella heard a soft voice in the background. Daddy, who are you talking to? Michael smiled. A friend. A lady? Emma asked. Isabella laughed weakly. Yes. A lady. Are you nice? Emma asked seriously. Isabella swallowed. I try to be. Okay, Emma said. Then you can stay. That night, Isabella cried harder than she had in months. The truth comes out. Weeks passed. Then one night, Isabella said quietly, I don't have much time. Michael felt it like a physical blow. How long? He asked. Maybe months, she replied. Maybe less. He didn't know what to say. So he said the only honest thing. Then we'll make the time matter. Isabella smiled through tears. You don't even know who I am, she said. You're Isabella, he replied. That's enough. But eventually, the truth came out. The mansion. The fortune. The name that made people whisper. Michael was stunned. You could have called anyone, he said. I did, she replied. You're the only one who stayed. An invitation. I want to meet you, Isabella said one night. Michael hesitated. I'm not part of your world. I don't want my world, she said softly. I want yours. After a long silence, he agreed. And that decision changed everything. The car slowed as it approached the tall iron gates. Michael's hands tightened around the steering wheel. He had almost turned back 3 times. Emma leaned forward in her seat, nose pressed to the window. Daddy, is this a castle? Michael swallowed. Something like that. The gates opened silently. Isabella Warren's mansion rose before them, white stone, towering glass, surrounded by gardens so perfect they didn't look real. It felt less like a home and more like a monument. Michael parked slowly, suddenly very aware of his worn shoes, his old jacket, the small crack in the windshield he never had money to fix. This was a bad idea, he muttered. Emma grabbed his hand. She's our friend. That stopped him. They stepped inside. The air smelled like flowers and something sterile underneath, medicine, maybe. The halls echoed with their footsteps, empty despite the size. And then Michael saw her. Isabella sat near the window in a wheelchair, sunlight outlining her fragile frame. She looked smaller than he imagined. Paler. But when she lifted her head and saw them, her smile was real. You came, she whispered. Michael nodded, throat tight. We did. Emma didn't hesitate. She ran forward. Hi. I'm Emma. Isabella's breath hitched as the little girl wrapped her arms around her carefully, like she already understood how breakable she was. Hi, Emma, Isabella said, voice shaking. I'm so happy you're here. Michael watched something inside her change. For the first time, Isabella didn't look like someone waiting to die. She looked alive. The first afternoon. They spent the afternoon in the garden. Isabella insisted on being outside. She wanted to feel the sun without glass between her and the world. Emma picked flowers and asked endless questions. Why is your house so big? Do you get scared at night? Can you draw? Isabella answered all of them honestly. Yes. Sometimes. And not very well. They laughed. Michael sat quietly, watching the way Isabella listened. To Emma, like every word mattered. No assistants. No doctors interrupting. Just a dying young woman and a child showing her how simple joy could be. I forgot what this feels like, Isabella said softly as Emma chased butterflies. What? Michael asked. Being normal. He smiled sadly. Normal's overrated. Isabella looked at him, then really looked. Tired lines around his eyes. Calloused hands. Kindness worn deep into his posture. You're a good father, she said. Michael looked away. I'm just doing my best. That's what makes you one. Nights in the mansion. Michael planned to leave after dinner. Isabella didn't ask him to stay. She didn't have to. When Emma fell asleep on the couch, Isabella's pain worsened. Michael noticed immediately. I'll stay, he said. Her eyes filled. You don't have to. I know. So he did. Night after night. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes Isabella cried quietly when she thought Michael was asleep. He always pretended not to notice. Moments that felt like life. They did small things. Normal things. They baked cookies, Isabella sitting, Michael and Emma making a mess. They watched old movies Isabella had never seen because she was always too busy. They played board games Isabella barely had strength for but refused to quit. I don't want my last days to be quiet, she said. I've had enough silence. Michael understood. One afternoon, Isabella looked at Emma and asked, Do you know what a promise is? Emma nodded seriously. Can you promise me something? Emma climbed onto the chair beside her. Okay. Promise you'll always be kind. Even when it's hard. Emma didn't hesitate. I promise. Isabella cried. The decline. Her health worsened quickly. Some mornings, she couldn't get out of bed. Some nights, the pain stole her breath. Michael held her hand through it all. I'm scared, she admitted one night. Not of dying. Of leaving you. You won't leave us, Michael said. Not really. She smiled weakly. You're staying with me tonight, right? Always, he said. Emma slept curled beside Isabella's bed that night. For the first time in her life, Isabella wasn't alone when fear came. The conversation that changed everything. One quiet evening, Isabella asked Michael to sit closer. There's something I need to do, she said. What? I don't want my money to disappear into nothing, she whispered. I want it to mean something. Michael stiffened. Isabella. I'm not giving it to you, she said gently. I'm giving it through you. She told him about foundations. About helping single parents. About scholarships. About children who needed someone to stay. I trust you, she said. Michael's voice broke. I don't deserve that. She smiled. That's why you do. A quiet promise. Later that night, Isabella whispered. Thank you for staying. Michael squeezed her hand. Thank you, he replied, for calling the wrong number. She laughed softly. And in that moment, all the wealth in the world meant nothing compared to the simple truth. Two broken lives had found each other by accident.